Search, drive. Cars.co.za.
All repairs is a lifetime of sidestepping, tackling and modeling your speedos happily. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.
Hello, welcome to the Cars.co.za YouTube channel. I'm Ciro De Siena. This is a Toyota GR86 and I'm about to tell you many things about it while driving at the same time. So carrying on the tradition of Toyota not building their own cars anymore, such as the Rumion, which is a Suzuki, the Celerio, which is a Suzuki, the Urban Cruiser, which is a Suzuki, the Agya, which is a Daihatsu, the Rush, which is a Daihatsu, the Supra, which is a BMW Z4, and this, which is a Subaru BRZ, Toyota have now launched a brand new product made by someone else. But I think out of all those partnerships, the one that I find the most exciting is this one. Right, so what are we dealing with here? Well, underneath that long bonnet is a Subaru developed Boxer 4 motor. It's a 2.4 litre, up from the 2 litres in the previous generation, and power is nicely up too. You now have 174 kilowatts and 250 newtons. Now, the previous motor was a 2 litre, and a lot of people complained that the 86 was a bit underpowered. It used to be called the GT86, now it's the GR86. So those power figures were 147 kilowatts and 205 newton meters. That's not a lot of newtons. We could do with some more. And so Toyota thought, right, let's go. Bigger engine, more power, more torque, and is the result more fun? Let's find out. So all your power goes to the rear wheels, which is the correct place for power to go, through a nice slick 6-speed transmission. One of the things I've been struggling to get used to a little bit is this clutch. It sort of bites right at the top. There's no real progression to it, so it's a little bit difficult to get the hang of. The nature of it means that it doesn't really work in traffic. This is not a particularly comfortable car to drive in stop-start traffic. However, out here, when the road opens up and you pretty much just have this whole mountain pass to yourself, then you can really slam home the gears and make gear changes really quickly, which is great. Catch third into this corner. Handling is very neutral. They've set it up in a way that it's not intimidating to drive. It doesn't feel like a leery rear-wheel drive car. And maybe for some of you, that's not what you want. Maybe you want a tail-happy car, but this sort of isn't it. But when it comes to a car like this, power isn't everything. What you're looking for here is a darty, accurate little sports car that's lively and feels good underneath your backside. Like you can connect to the car, you can connect to the chassis, and you've got this really controllable power from the naturally aspirated engine. You don't have those surprise of turbocharged goodness which can catch you out mid-corner. And so what you might be looking for here when you're considering a GR86 is something in the spirit of the original Mazda MX-5. A sports car where power isn't everything. But that means that the handling has to be really good. Like really, really good. Because if your party piece is not going to be under the bonnet, then it has to be the way the car feels out in the corners. The handling here the setup of the car, the balance of the car, the weight distribution is very neutral. So they've tried to sort of neutralize that tail happiness and give you a lot of confidence on the back end that you can really sort of lean on the back end. So I'm approaching a pretty tight left-hander here quite quickly. The front end, I sort of know where the tires are, but the back end, I feel like I can get on the power quite early, earlier than maybe you might have expected from a little rear-wheel drive manual sports car. And I think that is down to the setup. And the thing is, you get Michelins as standard with this car, Pilot Sports. They're super grippy. So you've got wonderful mechanical traction that you can lean on as well. Now look, don't get me wrong. You can switch the traction control off here and do donuts to your heart's content and definitely get it sideways if it's safe and you've got the space to do so. But out here on a mountain pass, I'm not too keen on inducing oversteer. And the way the car has been set up is it feels like it would be quite difficult to do that. So I think what Toyota have gone for here is not necessarily a sports car that's going to challenge you and challenge the best drivers, but rather it's a sports car for everyone. It's a sports car for the people. It's a sports car that almost everyone can just jump into and enjoy. So let me demonstrate for you how long these gears are. So I'm in second now, I'm doing a little roll start. That's 20 k's an hour. Right, let's go flat foot. Nice acceleration, 7,500 revs, that's 93 k's an hour, 120, 130. So at the top of third, you're over 130 k's an hour before you hit the red line. Yeah, that's some pretty tall gearing. You've still got 3 more speeds after that. You know, it's quite refreshing to drive a naturally aspirated engine. You've got that lovely linear power delivery. However, I don't think this car is as exciting to drive or as visceral to drive as a turbocharged car. When you have a turbocharged smaller engine like this, you get that elastic acceleration, which sort of like upsets your stomach a bit and gives you a bit of those little butterflies. And I think it's sort of missing here. So while I totally appreciate what Toyota is trying to do here, they're trying to maintain the purity of the sports car feel, I do feel like this would just be, it's like 8 out of 10, and I feel like it would be 10 out of 10 with forced induction. I mean, the reality is that this is one of the most powerful naturally aspirated engines in the world. Liter for liter, not many engines like this exist because not many people really make them anymore. So it is a rarity, it is a gem of an engine. But weirdly enough, maybe it's just we've been driving too many turbocharged cars and that's just what we're used to now. Right, quick tour of the interior of the GR86. My eye is immediately drawn to these aluminium switches down here, which look really important and quite sexy, and they look like they should control something like, I don't know, the rocket boosters or something like that, or maybe an exhaust flap, but no, those are for your aircon, which I find a little bit dull. And you can also adjust your aircon up here as well with these dials. Above that, you've got a decent display. The resolution is not great and the functionality is not particularly in-depth, but you do have your Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which I think is pretty much all anyone cares about anymore. The gear knob for me looks pretty good. It's got this racy font on top, although I sort of wish that would light up. I think that would be a nice touch, but otherwise the leather feels pretty good. The stitched leather look really does fit the car. Down here, you've got your track button, and when you hit that track button, your display changes. I'll show you that in just a second. And then the magical traction off button, so that you can do stupid things like donuts. Heated seats with 2 settings. That's quite nice for passenger and driver. Nice little bin back here, and I quite like the design because you can just sort of edge it with your elbow and close it. I think that's pretty smart. So you don't have to reach for the button while you're driving. Electric windows all round, electric mirrors, which is pretty helpful, blind spot detection, and an impressive 7 airbags, which I think is really, really good for a car like this. Actually, you've got curtain airbags and a driver knee airbag as well. Push button start with that lovely GR logo. So let me start it up for you, and I'll quickly show you what it looks like when you put it into track mode. So that's your rev counter as it is, and then into track, and you get this lovely sort of horizontal rev counter. Quite like that. And an interesting touch is that the rear seats have ISOFIX child seat mounts, but yeah, God help you getting into the back there to mount a child seat and put a child in it. And lastly, I think the seats deserve a bit of a mention. They are really nice sports bucket seats. They're very comfortable. You can do long distances in them, and they have nice amounts of grip in the corners. And I really like the finish. It's this sort of black Alcantara. Those really fit the car for me. So let's just take a little breather here and talk about some of the more consumer angles of the Toyota GR86. So 7 years ago, when the GT86 came out with its 2-litre, slightly less power engine, well, quite a bit less power, that car hit the market for 298,000 Rand. This generation, the manual, the cheaper of the 2 variants that you can buy, is 712,000 Rand. And that means that in 1 generation, the price of this GR86 has gone up by 414,000 Rand. Is it 414,000 Rand better? Look, it's a lot better. It's a better car in every way that you care to measure. But sheesh, more than double the price. Car prices are mad. So down here in the Western Cape, we have these things called mountains, which are quite rare up north. And on those mountains are some beautiful roads. But what that means is that we have this incredible collection of mountain passes that we can take our cars out to on the weekend and safely enjoy them. The roads are nice and quiet on the weekend. And over the last few years, I've been really lucky to invest in a couple of what I call weekend cars, where you don't necessarily want to commute in those cars, but if everything comes together and you take it out early on a Sunday morning and you get a clear run up those passes, man, you just get the biggest smile on your face. But the thing is, for many people, it's not practical to have more than one car, or a car that's just for the weekend. You need something to get you to work and back, and maybe something that's great for a weekend blast. And so when I was approaching the review of this 86, I thought to myself, could this be a modern car that ticks all those boxes? Could this be a car that you could commute in comfortably and enjoy up a mountain pass on a Sunday morning? And having spent some time in it, it's pretty damn close. It's pretty damn close to being in that car. Look, a manual car is never going to be fun in stop-start traffic. You just have to put up with it. But unless you have money to buy a Koenigsegg, which has that manual and auto in the same car, and you just drive cars in, that don't exist in fairy tale land, then you either have to choose. You can get an automatic 86, it's 38,000 Rand more, and then you've got yourself an auto. But this car really does suit a manual. And if you're willing to put up with it in the city, I think when you get out onto a mountain pass, I think you're going to find it really rewarding. So the formula's here, right? Naturally aspirated engine, manual gearbox, rear wheel drive. It's a fantastic sports car formula. And I'm not going to sit here and say it should have been turbocharged, and maybe it would be more exciting if it was turbocharged. Well, definitely be. But as it is, it's a really good recipe and it's a really fun car to drive. There is one thing missing for me though, which I think can be quite easily improved, and that is the exhaust note. Under hard acceleration, basically all you're getting is induction noise and engine noise. There's almost nothing happening behind you, and I think a good set of pops on this car could really improve the experience, because boxer 4s sound great. They really, really do. Other than that, there's not much to complain about here. There's a lot to like. Something I really like about this car is the driving position. It's more sort of that like bathtub type position that you're looking for, that you really want out of a sports car, and I think they got that pretty much spot on. So for me, the GR86, yeah, 8 out of 10. I think mission accomplished for Toyota. I love how Toyota are one of the last manufacturers. It's quite ironic, but they're one of the last manufacturers making exciting petrol head cars. The Corolla GR looks awesome. The GR Yaris is awesome. Now we've got this GR86. The Supra, they've even released a manual Supra. Go Toyota. The last bastion of petrol headedness in this world as we rush towards electrification. So I'm really glad this car exists. I'm not sure I could spring 700k on it, even if I had the money. There are a lot of good second-hand cars out there for 700,000 Rand. But if you do have the cash and the looks of this car and the idea of it puts a smile on your face, then I think you won't be disappointed.
Are you busy trying to decide between 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, 5 cars, 6 cars? We have an excellent compare tool on our site which will help you make sense of all the different pricing and all the different specs. You'll find it on our main site as well as in our app. It's super slick, it's easy to use, it's highly detailed, it's constantly updated with the latest information and pricing, and I can guarantee you it'll make your life a ton easier. Check it out on our website, link in the description below.
Cars.co.za.
No matter how big or small your car is, you can still save $420 per month. Budget, the official insurer of good South Africans.